let's begin. So this is the second entry for Just What's on My Mind here on Anywhere and Anything Else. Thanks so much for joining me, and thanks for coming back if you maybe perhaps saw the first one. So this series is just me rattling on about just stuff that I've been thinking about. I'm gonna do my best not to ramble on as much as I did on the first episode. That was a monster to edit. So today's topic: monarchy and music. No, we're not delving into the archives of royal music of the court. I don't know. There's not really much connection between the things I want to talk about. They're just stuff on my mind. So I guess we'll start out with monarchy. And we are specifically going to be talking about the British monarchy. I've been a bit of an Anglophile for quite a while now. I don't know if I could say when that started, although I have been rereading Harry Potter, still on the first book, and I noticed very early on in the early chapters before our protagonist gets introduced to anything magical, there's a lot of like references, like what would have been current at the time of writing the book, and a lot of like pop culture references that I'm now very familiar with, but certainly would have had no clue what was being referenced at the time. But it's just so weird reading that back now and realizing that that was probably like some of my first introduction to some like random things, pop culture things about England. I can't remember anything specific right now, but yeah, so maybe my Anglophilia goes all the way back to then. Additionally, I just really love history. I think British history is quite interesting, and considering the British monarchy holds within it a lot of the traditions of the land, it makes sense that you'd know a lot about them. Just I wouldn't say studying history, but just immersing yourself in history, and eventually you follow that line down long enough, and you get to present day. I absolutely loved Queen Elizabeth. Very still seems odd her not being with us anymore. It still feels odd having lost her. I just think, I mean, she was just such a constant public figure, public presence. And yeah, in a weird, like, paradoxical way, it almost felt like the longer she lived, the less likely she was to leave, which is more likely the exact opposite. But I don't know. It just, when the time finally came, it just felt, I don't know. Felt like it didn't make sense, even though it made perfect sense. But yeah, now we've got good King Charlie. But yeah, now we've got Charles, William, and the rest of the Wales family. I actually initially recorded this video quite a while ago, like a couple months now, or a month and a half. Unfortunately, that footage got corrupted. I don't know how to describe exactly what happened there. But my intention was to re-record it. And prior to my ability to do that, we got some updated news on the royal family, and it just didn't feel right. I didn't feel right revisiting it at that point. But this year's been an interesting one for the royal family. I should say most of my interest in the royal family is less to do with the people and more to do with the ceremony and pageantry around monarchy in Britain. Not that I don't care about the people at all. They're pretty cool. Some pretty cool characters, both present and throughout history. But usually I'm looking out for things like I think it's like the state opening of Parliament. Trooping is like my favorite thing. on their yearly calendar. It's kind of odd because I feel like I don't retain enough information to like know exactly what's going on or to be able to explain or describe it to other people. But because it's very monotonous is not the word because it only happens once a year, but it's pretty much the same thing every year. But um I just love watching and seeing the subtle nuances or differences, especially when it comes to members of the royal family who are participating in the parade that year or the trooping that year. One of my favorites to look back to is trooping in 1951. I think it's the only, I don't know how many or if King George VI ever missed more than one, but that year, he was obviously ill, and his daughter, Princess Elizabeth, um, took the salute on his behalf that year. And I just think that's really cool. I feel like, I don't know, I don't have a lot of, maybe I just haven't dug into it enough, but I feel like I just enjoy seeing, because she was queen for so long, it's interesting to see. Because she was queen for so long, it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see her carrying out duties as a princess prior to her becoming queen. I feel like it's not a lot of that. Probably has a lot to do with the war, and I guess not a lot of opportunities for just like public engagements. Um, and then also the fact that she was not heir to the throne until she was about what 13 when her grandfather died and after her uncle abdicated. So yeah, 1951 trooping. If you've not seen that, you could probably just type that into YouTube search engine. It'll come up. It's just, I don't know, just pretty interesting to see. She's on horseback as well. But yeah, this year has been pretty interesting for the royals. After all the hubbub of the coronation last year, which was very interesting to see. I guess this was supposed to be really the year where things like kicked off. Things really kicked off. Unfortunately, there have been some illnesses. The king himself, as well as the Princess of Wales, Catherine. I remember like reading the statement given by the palace. I don't know if it was probably Kensington. Um, Back in January, saying that she was in hospital, and like I couldn't read it fast enough. Like just seeing first of all that she was in hospital had me like super worried, and then reading through and saying basically they didn't put out a statement until after she'd gone through with her procedure and she was all right. So I don't know. I had high hopes. I felt like I felt like things were moving in the right direction. Um, it wasn't something acute like an injury or anything like that. So I just felt, they gave that timeline of when she would possibly be back in public, and I just felt like, oh well, it'll be sad to miss her for 3 months, but um, that'll be that. And the media, watching watching the media surrounding that story was just so very interesting. It kind of took me back to like high school. I remember I remember reading about um oh, it was high school English. We were reading Arthur Miller's The Crucible, and of course that has to do with all like the witch trials in Salem and all that stuff. Is it Salem? Are they in Salem? I don't know, but it's the witch trials back and whenever. And the play, The Crucible, it's fiction, but just based in that time, something real that happened. And I found it to be a difficult read because of the real life aspect behind that story, and it just boggled my mind. Like I just remember always feeling like I wanted or needed answers as to why this could happen to a population of people. Um, and I think if you look into it, there's some suggestion that it was something something to do with the corn crop that year, or for several number of years surrounding that time. Some kind of blight or whatever that might have caused some kind of psychosis, some mass psychosis. And at the time, as a kid, or as a teenager, that was like a comforting um, answer or a solution to the question of why this could have happened. But as I've gotten older, I don't think, I don't know how true the theory about the corn crop is, but I don't think, I just think the world's a bit crazy. I feel like that might be um, almost the default disposition of humans. Yeah, that might be the default disposition of humans to, I don't know, migrate towards the more to migrate towards these almost more like conspiratorial and just, I don't know. It seems more and more to me as I get older that humans on a whole, en masse, are a little bit a little bit crazy, and we've got such a good ability of justifying our actions both during the psychosis and afterwards. Catherine had said she wouldn't be back for about 3 months. She wouldn't be back in public for about 3 months, and you could see it build as we got closer and closer to that 3 month mark. Um, Everyone wanted to be a part of the conspiracy. And at first, at the very start, they wanted to like show, especially the media, wanted to show that they were like the grown-ups in the room. But as we got closer and closer to that 3 month mark, it's like they didn't want to miss out on the fun somehow. I don't know. Maybe it's something that was driven by ratings. Maybe they weren't getting as many like hits or views by not engaging in all the crazy. But yeah, by the end, they were the loudest like hawkers of some of like the worst of it. Um, and they have this ability to like throw off the blame, like, oh, everyone's saying this, the palace should respond in one way or another, and it's like the internet is the internet. It's gonna do what it does. It's the public square, right? People are gonna say whatever they want. And to be honest, I think most of the people on the internet were just like trolling and having fun. And you know, that's their that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. But the media, by engaging, they're in effect legitimizing all the crazy that was out there. And to them, I think they feel like they're just polling like the pulse of the people and reporting. And it's like, no, you're amplifying the loudest and the craziest like voices. Like people on the internet can say whatever they want without repercussion. And that kind of environment lends itself to people being more and more reckless with their words. And it's even more reckless still for someone who has a platform that's seen as an authoritative voice, to then take all that nonsense and legitimize it by just, I don't know, reporting on it and behaving as though it's legitimate news. I don't know. I'm rambling here. I'm less so upset about Catherine in that situation, even though I'm sure it was upsetting for her and the family. Um, I'm more so just like, I don't know, demoralized, maybe is the word, um, by that whole fiasco. Because even after all the same pundits and culprits that had engaged were then behaving like just just very like holier than thou, and I don't know. It's like they threw off any blame, and it's like you realize that they couldn't even. I don't know if they couldn't see what they had done wrong, or that they had participated, or if they're just knowingly trying to deflect any blame and get away from paying any price for that. To be honest, that would be preferential to me. That'd be pretty scummy, but it'd be preferential to them actually not realizing, because that's kind of crazy and kind of scary. In any case, unfortunately, Catherine's not back in public. She's currently undergoing some treatment, and hopefully she'll be back with us soon. I don't know. I feel like compared to the king, she doesn't have the same sort of mandate, or rather remit. I don't know if any of those are the right words, but she doesn't have the same urgency to get back into the public eye. I think she can, one, with her not being the monarch, and two, being younger, it makes sense to take more time and just wanting to be fully healed and recovered. Whereas I think the king is he wants to be back at it as soon as possible. Like, he's still undergoing treatment, but he's well enough to be in public, so he's going to do it. But I think it makes sense for Catherine that she might want to I don't know, like, have a clean bill of health maybe before returning, or at least as much as you can with cancer. I mean, Charles, he's the king. You have to be seen to be believed, and two, he's a lot older. He's been waiting for he's been waiting to fill this position for quite a long time, and he doesn't have much time to do it. So it makes sense that he wouldn't want to wait. He want to get back at it, back into it as soon as possible. But yeah, pretty good having him back. I think most recently there was a garden party at the palace. I think the garden parties are at Buckingham Palace, or is it Windsor? Could be Windsor Castle. I don't know. But good having him back. William has been out and about a lot more recently, which I'm taking as a positive sign that Catherine's doing pretty well. I feel like he wouldn't take that time away from her if things weren't on the up and up. So yeah, that's comforting. That's pretty comforting. I think most recently he was with his father. I think he's now what is it? Colonel in Chief of the Army Air Corps of Britain. So I don't know exactly what that changes for him in his day to day. Probably not much on a day to day basis. It seems like a little bit more of an active role than some of the other military appointments that are made, but who knows? I'm not sure. I don't know how many opportunities you'd have to see him in uniform for that regiment or branch. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the Army Air Corps is. Is it like the whole branch of military? No, that's like the Royal Air Force, the RAF, right? Or is that a different thing? Moving on. If we could see Catherine back before the end of summer, it would be really nice if she could make it to Wimbledon this year. That's what I'm hoping for. But if not, that's all right. She should take her time. Maybe not till Christmas again. That'd be pretty. That's a long time, but oh well. I think trooping is a bit too soon, and that's quite a lot. I don't know if she'd want to do all that. But Wimbledon would be. I think Wimbledon is July. I think. I haven't watched in the past couple of years. Been way too busy. But yeah, it'd be nice to see her again there as president of the All England. Was it All England Tennis Club or Lawn Tennis Club? Yeah, it would be good to see her again in that capacity. But if not, I'd be happy. If not, I'm hoping for Wimbledon, and if not, I'd be happy to wait till Christmas. And hopefully she's feeling much better by the day. Yeah. So this was less about the monarchy in general and more about more about how I was more musing on how crazy the media was, and I don't know, like lately, a lot of those same um, pundits that were crying out for, they wanted to know exactly what was wrong with Catherine. They wanted to know, basically, they just want like her full medical records or something like that. But all those people, I can't look at them the same anymore. Like they've just gone on to the next thing, the next topic, and I'm just like, every time I see them talking about, I don't know, war in the Middle East or whatever, I'm just looking at them and it's like, I can't take you seriously anymore. You're not a serious human being, especially for not being able to be accountable for the mistakes that you made, or just to acknowledge that you were being crazy. Anyway, we'll move on. That's going to be the monarchy bit for this video. They'll probably pop up here and again in other videos because I'm not like avidly watching them, but if anything interesting happens, this is just what's on my mind, so we'll talk about it then. Moving on to music. Now, initially, when I had first recorded this video, I had been talking about Kylie Minogue, who is an amazing pop artist. But lately, we're getting closer and closer to the start of the Girls Aloud show this summer, and yeah, that's been taking up most of the thoughts of my head on a daily basis. But I just did a whole video on them. I don't think I can justify dedicating the last half of this to them, but I probably still will. In any case, Kylie's amazing. Been around for quite a long time. She's an artist that, because her career has spanned such a long period of time, you can almost like pick your favorite Kylie, or not necessarily pick your favorite Kylie, but you can almost be a fan of an entirely, sometimes it feels like I'm a fan of an entirely different artist depending on what era I'm choosing to engage with. For me, the era that makes me a Kylie fan, I think, goes all the way back to the start in the 80s. I think that's the stuff that really like got me hooked on Kylie as a person and wanting to know like what she's doing now and all that stuff. I think I probably first came across like the early 2000s stuff, and there's a lot there that I just didn't get and still don't. A lot of the music from that era, I don't know, it just might have been the way music was then. I wasn't really loving it, except for maybe Wow, Love at First Sight. Can't Get You Out of My Head is, it's a good song, but it's not a song that I would choose to listen to. If it's on, if it comes on somewhere, I'll be bopping to it. But it's got a very like hypnotic sound. It's mid-tempo, so it's not like, I don't know. I feel like it's not like an exciting song. It's also not a mellow song, but it is very hypnotic and it like pulls you in for the entirety. But it is very hypnotic and it like pulls you in. So I do love it. It's just I would never like search it out to listen to. But going back from that, I think Better the Devil You Know, and going back up from there are the stuff that the stock Watkin, no, stock Aiken Waterman, stock Aiken Waterman. I think the stuff from her like first like kind of era. I don't know. I just love, I just love not all of 80s pop, but I feel like the 80s pop that would have been derided back then as like bubblegum pop, I really gravitate towards. And it usually starts out with it sounding like the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life, and then I just like kind of grow to love it. Hand on My Heart is probably one of my favorites, and it just, I don't know. Maybe it's just like the idea of tapping into a different time is kind of exciting. When Golden came out, I think that was the first Kylie album that I was like paying attention to Kylie for, or like the first album that came out while I was paying attention, if that makes any sense. And I actually really love that album. It took me ages to listen to it. I'm really weird about music where I'll get really excited about an upcoming release, but I'm quite in love with the feeling of listening to an amazing song for the first time, and that's something that you can't ever get back. So whenever there's new music dropping that I'm interested in, I'm always looking for like the exact right time to sit and like really listen to the album and absorb it. And so usually what ends up happening is I keep putting it off and putting it off, and it just takes forever to get to. Golden was one such album. When it first dropped, I was really excited because there was a lot of promo around it. Because I think it was also like what like I think she was turning 50, and I don't know what anniversary it was for how long she'd been in the music business. So there's a lot of promo around that, so that got me really hyped and excited. And I ended up not listening to the album for like maybe 2 years. It wasn't until Disco was about to drop, and I was like, "Wow, she worked really fast." There's a new album already, and I realized, and went back, I had to go back and check, and realized that it had been ages since Golden had come out, and I still hadn't listened to it. But Golden was awesome. I know a lot of people, or it seems like online, that a lot of people didn't love that era of Kylie. I think in sort of like in the fullness of time, that the album is a net benefit to like her discography. Um, I think people were just like, if you were in love with the version of Kylie that I'm not too interested in, you were probably waiting for a little bit more of that. And I don't know, I was happy with Golden. Disco though, I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about Disco because um disco is such a weird era. Like sometimes, a lot of times, I think I like disco music, but it's really just those like peak, like the best hits from that era that kind of um I don't know, seep into like the public zeitgeist as time goes by. Those are the songs, the most popular songs that have stood the test of time. Um, that everyone likes because they're great songs, and it makes me think, oh, I love disco. But every once in a while, I'll hear some of like the more obscure stuff that is like fallen by the wayside and that you wouldn't know unless you knew someone who was alive at that time who loved this music. And it's always just like a little bit terrible. So I think maybe I don't like disco as much as I would like to think that I do. So when she was talking about the album, and first of all, it's called Disco, and she was talking about being excited to bring that sound back, I just thought might not be for me. Turns out the album is amazing. Um, there was a brief period where I listened to it all the time. It's been a while. I'm not even sure if I can remember the titles of the songs. Real Groove was, yeah, that's one that you can just get lost in. I won't embarrass myself by trying to name more. I need to revisit that one. But I listened to that one pretty soon after, one because I had to like I had to force myself to find time to listen to Golden so that I would be able to listen to Disco. I didn't want to listen to them out of order. Um so the fact that those things were on my mind, for the fact that it was already on my mind, that I needed to listen to that. So yeah, not long after I listened to Golden, Disco dropped. And then two, Pandemic. Disco dropped mid-pandemic, so I definitely had a lot more time on my hands to dedicate to just sitting and listening, and it did not disappoint. There were, oh, now I'm thinking about it, there were amazing songs on Disco, and yeah, I was definitely in the mood for some new songs, and that the day I listened to that. Some other pandemic albums were, I say were, I can only remember one other one. No, two. The 1975, what is it? Notes on a Conditional Form. Did that drop mid pandemic or just like right before? I feel like it was maybe like right before. But there was that one, and then there was Ellie Goulding's album. which I don't remember the name of now, but I remember that was also mid-pandemic. And I just noticed, I don't know, those three albums stood out to me. I need to check for the 1975. Notes on yeah, Notes in a Conditional Form was May 2020. So yeah, those three albums really stood out to me. Disco, Ellie Goulding's, if I knew the name, sorry, and Notes. Um, because I don't know, they were just three very good albums, and I as opposed to like a lot of films that were being put on hold. Nolan's films, I think Oppenheimer was supposed to come out earlier. Top Gun was supposed to come out. Top Gun Maverick was supposed to come out earlier than it did, and those were put on hold because their creators wanted the best experience for them. Where I felt like music had like the opposite thing, where I think music can sometimes be very tied to place and time, and if it's not experienced then or taken in, then it can kind of get lost. So there are songs that were released in 2000 that were amazing then and are amazing now. But if you release them now for the first time, people wouldn't even give it a second listen or even get through a first listen. So I feel like music has like kind of a shorter shelf life as new music. I think once people are emotionally attached, it can live on forever. But I just thought it was very notable that there are certain artists who are confident in their ability or confident enough in their ability to engage with their art that didn't mind putting out their album despite not being able to promote it the way they would have liked or engage with their audience the way they would have liked surrounding that release. It wasn't so much about the fanfare surrounding an album release. It was just music and, I guess, message or whatever that they wanted to convey at that time. Now was the perfect time, so they were going to put it out. And they just, I don't know, it just, at a time where everything was shutting down, to have this good of music coming out with no fanfare, I feel like bigger egos would have tried to hold out. I don't know. I feel like there's something interesting about competent and gifted artists who are just like, this is this is what I need to say now, so I'm putting it out now. And further on in the future, I'll have more to say and I'll write more music and we can have a big party then. That's fine. It's just like being confident enough in your ability to be like, well, we're gonna put this out because this needs to be out now, and we're not gonna worry about tomorrow. We'll write more music tomorrow, and it'll be great. I don't know. I just found that pretty interesting. And then following Disco is Tension. Now, it is May of 2024. I don't remember when Tension came out. I feel like it's been almost a year now. I still haven't listened to Tension, and I was really excited when Tension was coming out, or when I heard about it. She does put out albums pretty quickly, though, doesn't she? Maybe she doesn't. Maybe I just don't pay attention to album releases in general, and I don't realize how often they do come out. But yeah, I've been wanting to listen to Tension for ages now. I might do it for the channel. That would be awesome. Excuse my voice. But yeah, aside from Padam Padam, obviously, I actually didn't listen to that one for months because I thought I was just gonna. I think the album already came out before I got to listen to that. And I just thought I'd wait and hear everything together. But I just couldn't find the time to sit and listen to Tension, so I did listen to the single, probably like 3 months or something after it came out. And it's it's a fun song. I don't know. I'll say more about it if I ever do an album reaction for Tension. But yeah, it's definitely on the list alongside who else has released music that I haven't listened to? I think Ellie Goulding actually has a new album out, or had a new album out late last year, maybe. I've been obsessed with Ellie Goulding since Delirium. Prior to that, I wasn't really paying attention. There were the singles, obviously. Lights was huge. And Anything Could Happen was huge. But it wasn't until, I don't know what happened around Delirium. That was her first album that I listened to in full, and it was amazing. So yeah, been pretty stuck with her since then. So she's got a new album out. I think Carly Rae Jepsen, who is another whole interesting experience. And There was something else. Big Time Rush. I need to listen to their new album. I think that's been a year or two. I don't know what's wrong with me. Just time just gets away from me. But I would love to listen to all of those albums. I'd probably have to start with Kylie's. Should I start with Kylie? Yeah. Yeah, she's just Kylie is also just like an all around lovely person. I love seeing her interviews, and she just comes across really nicely. If she's not, then you got to give her kudos for putting on a face in public, I suppose. I don't think so. I don't think I've never heard anything about her being not awesome. So, I don't mean to rush through this Kylie segment, but I think I will take a few minutes to talk about Girls Aloud, even though we just had a whole episode. I do apologize. Anyone who did sit through that, thank you. It was super rambly, and I had like no like script, so I was just like jumping around all over the place and just trying to dump all the information that I know about them or how they've affected me. There was just way too much going on, but thank you so much for returning to this video even after that debacle, even after that mess of an episode. But it was my first one. I think this one's a bit rambly as well, but I'll get better as we go along, hopefully. But yeah, as we speak, let's see here. Right. So as I speak, we are 4 days away from the start of the new Girls Aloud tour, the Girls Aloud show. That's so weird. Like, I'm not like paying attention day by day. So once in a while I'll check in, and it's like 10 days closer, 20 days closer. It seems unreal. Sometimes I feel like I'm not someone who gets excited about these kind of things, and then I start to think about it and I get super excited. Like, I don't know. Well, first off, I should say we've had a little bit more news about Girls Aloud, and I want to talk about, I believe there's supposed to be a Birmingham show in August, and this is at a Pride festival, I think. I don't know what to think about this. I think I'm trying not to get too excited. Realistically, I think they feel that they have enough love from that community that it would be a shame if Girls Aloud had never performed at a Pride festival. Does that make sense? Like, they don't want it to go down in history that Girls Aloud had not performed at a Pride festival. Even though, because I think their initial run kind of predates Pride festivals and parades and all that stuff. But they did used to perform at like GAY all the time, which, if I remember correctly, no longer exists. But I don't know, maybe they just want it to be said. Maybe they just want it not to be said that Girls Aloud never performed at Pride. But what caught my attention here is the fact that that show in August is over a month post the end of the tour. Tour ends in June, right at the end of June, I think. June the 30th. and I'm trying not to read too much into it, but the fact that there's a show at all after the tour, can we have any, is there any, is it at all reasonable to have any expectation of something further post this tour? Or should we just have a really good time for the next month and a half and then hold our breaths for another 10 years? um, seems to be the interval that they're going for. I don't know. It just gives me a sense of hope that they'll stay connected as a group post tour, and that maybe there's more following. But I think it could just be that they want to perform at a Pride event as Girls Aloud. In which case, we'll take what we can get. I suppose I'll take what I can get. But the show itself, they've been the tour itself, I mean to say, they've been teasing the set list a lot more than I would have expected, and that's getting me really excited because I wasn't really giving too much thought about it, except to say that, and I had mentioned in the previous video, that I just really didn't want it to be a hits tour. They've done 2 of those already. I don't know which single I would sacrifice for an album track, but I would be less upset to miss a single than I would be less upset about missing out on a single if there were some really awesome album tracks on the set list as well. Although I'd love to hear The Loving Kind. It's an absolutely beautiful song, and it was left out of the last tour. I have a theory about why that could be, but we'll leave that off of here. Let's see, I don't know what I would want. I think last time I said Singapore would be nice. I don't really know how Singapore would play on a stage. I don't know. I don't really have guesses. I'm just really excited to find out what it's going to be. They seem super excited, which makes me feel like, I don't know if I should be excited. Like maybe they're just really bad at reading reading the room for what the fans want, and they're excited for no good reason. Or there's just stuff that they're just really excited about personally, and screw what we think. I don't know. Like, the fact that they're even bothering to tease the set list at all is like, I can't even say piquing my interest, because my interest was already piqued. I don't know. It just makes me feel like they've done something specific that they know we're going to be happy with. Yeah. May the 17th is the first date in Dublin. I'm super excited. I don't know what to expect. I just realized The Loving Kind is a very Sarah heavy song, but I guess all the songs are having to be tweaked anyway, so I'm not sure if that makes much of a difference. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for today. Hopefully this is already half the recording time that I had last time. Hopefully in the edit this is much shorter than the last video. I'm really excited for the start of tour. They must be, like, my anxiety levels just thinking about the first day of the tour or through the roof. They must be, I don't envy the position. I must be so nervous. Maybe not nervous, because they've planned a show, so that should kick out some of the nerves, but I don't know, anxious. 4 days. That's so soon. I kind of wish I wasn't doing this video, because then I wouldn't be thinking about it. I'd rather just like wake up on the 17th and remember that today's the day. It's also really great because you guys are like 6 hours ahead, so I don't have to like wait the entire day to get news on what's going on. You know what also would be really cool is if they did like like a recorded session, not like an acoustic set or anything, but just like a recorded session, and they could perform as many songs as they like, as many songs as they want. Um, Heck, you could go through the entire discography if you'd like. I'll sit and listen to it. Um, that'd be really cool with like live instruments, a band, not acoustic, but also not super heavy on like all the different sounds and like the electronic sounds and stuff like that. Live band basically, but just like in a studio in a room. We could revisit some of the old stuff. Oh, I don't want to hear Long Hot Summer. I don't know. I never got that single. I think I forgot to talk about it in the last video. I never. Some people really like it though. It might be like a had to be there kind of song. I think I just missed out on that one. That's like the one to me. That's I was gonna say that's my least favorite thing on the Chemistry album, but there might be others. But it's not a song that I would want to take up a spot on the set list. Although it will be summer, so maybe it'll get thrown in there. It could be like background or something during like a costume change. How about that? If anyone's watching, do you think we'll get anything like any like a behind the scenes or like any sort of anything like documentary style? Um I don't know. That might be too much to have on their plates. Although I didn't expect them to tour this year either, so I don't know. Maybe they're up for more than I am giving them credit. Yeah, okay. We're gonna call it quits here. Thank you to anyone who's made it this far. This was just what's on my mind on anyone, anything else, and thanks for watching. Bye.